Okay, great. Listen, everybody, I want to have a conversation with you. I really want to hear from you a little bit. I'm going to answer or try to answer some of your questions. And I don't know, let's just see what ends up happening tonight. One of the things that I talk about in my upcoming book, if you haven't pre ordered it yet, I want you to do that. We're actually sending an e-course out tonight for those who pre-ordered. It's going to be a blessing, I believe. And so anyway, what up, Canada? Toronto? Huh? Um, so anyway, you can go to DariusDanielsRQ.com, DariusDanielsRQ.com, pre-order your book. Make sure you sign up, man. We're going to send you this free e-course. It's going to be incredible. But listen to this. I was thinking about something. So here's the principle. You guys know I've been saying this for the past few weeks. Your greatest joy, your greatest pain comes from the same place, and that is going to be relationships. Relationship management is not just relationship management. Relationship management is life management, because there's no area of your life that's not affected by your relationships. And so when it comes to managing our relationships, we've got to do more than manage them emotionally. We've got to manage them intelligently. Because if there is anything, listen to me, if there's anything we need to be intelligent about, it's about our relationships. And so here it is. I want to talk to you a little bit about this whole idea of putting people in their place. Here's the idea. Everyone in there are people in your life who have a place, but everybody doesn't have the same place. And it is not their responsibility of where they're supposed to be in your life. That is our responsibility, because people don't know what they need. See, I want you to catch this. People will put themselves in your life where they want to. That's not always where they need to be. I'm gonna say that again. I want to make sure you heard me, okay? People will position themselves in your life where they want to be, but that's that's not always where they need to be. And so here's my point. No matter what kind of place you put people in terms of levels of access and levels of investment and all of that stuff, here's the point. How many of you know seasons change, and the changing of seasons often require shifting in relationships? I'm going to say that again. The changing of seasons often requires the shifting of relationships. Think about this, how sometimes seasons in your life change. And when those seasons in your life change, it requires the repositioning of certain people. Watch this, in a way that is best suited for them and you. Because you really, if we're going to manage relationships intelligently, you got to believe something. You got to believe that with God, it's always a relational win-win. Okay? So repositioning them is never not going to be something that's detrimental for them, because God's not a God of scarcity. That means he don't have to hurt them to bless you. I'm going to say that one more time. God is not a God of scarcity. So that means he doesn't have to hurt other people to bless you. So if a shift in the relationship is good for you, then it means ultimately a shift in the relationship is going to be good for them. They just might not see how good it is yet. I hope that's making sense. Okay. Yeah. So God doesn't have to hurt others to help you. So my point is, seasons change, and and as a result of changing seasons, sometimes there has to be shifts in the relationship. Now, there are times, watch this, that we have to shift people to different places in our life. And then there are times where someone has become, we're not saying they're bad people, but maybe they become bad for us. Then there are times, what's up, Puerto Rico? I see you. Then there are times we have to shift people out of our life. Now, that doesn't mean when a relationship, watch this, is when someone is shifted out of your life, it doesn't mean that person's evil. It doesn't mean you're being condescending. It doesn't mean you're being judgmental. Remember, I've taught you this before in previous lives. There's a difference between judging and fruit inspecting. Jesus said, every believer should be a fruit inspector. You judge a tree by the fruit it bears. Now, this is not to determine, see, judgment would be saying, what's up, Pastor Shadwick? Judgment would say, listen to this, that's a good tree, a bad tree. No, we don't want to judge it. So we're not making a judgment on whether or not it's a good tree or a bad tree. But we're looking at the fruit to see what kind of tree it is to determine whether or not that's the tree for me in this season of my life. Does that make sense? So if I say I'm in a season where I need orange trees, I'm not judging apple trees, but I need to assess what kind of fruit is on this tree so I can determine what kind of tree that's going to be for me. All right. So there are times when it's tough. We have to shift people out of our life. And it doesn't mean it's forever. Sometimes the shift is a seasonal shift. And I'm going to say this one thing, and then I'm going to take some questions for you because I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking tonight. Here it is. There are times when the shifts are not permanent shifts. They're seasonal shifts. And oftentimes we want to know when, how, what are the circumstances? What are the circumstances that I need or that need to be in place in order for me to reconcile? Think about that. What are the circumstances that need to be in place? Under what conditions should I reconcile? So I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to let you throw some questions out and have a great night. Here it is. Dr. Henry Cloud puts it this way. Pastor Dharius, when should I go back? Should it just be a separation or should it be an elimination? Should it be a separation or an elimination? When should I go back? Under what circumstances should I reconcile? Here it is. Never go back if the reason you left is still there. Think about it. Pause. Think about that. Never go back if the reason you left is still there. Remember, that's not making a judgment about the tree. That's just that's just assessing whether or not this tree is a tree for me. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna stop right there. So, hey, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to answer some questions really quickly because I think this principle applies to every level of relationship. If you're dating somebody, it applies to that. If you've broken up, under what condition? Do I break up or do I make up? Never go back if the reason you left is still there. It applies to business relationships. Do I rehire this person? Do I re-engage in a partnership with this person? Do I retain this person again? It didn't work out the first time, or it didn't work out the second time. I'm reconsidering, should I do this again? Here it is. That's right, real talk, Regina. Here it is. Never go back if the reason you left is still there. It applies in business relationships. It applies in dating relationships. It applies in friendships. It applies in every level of relationship. Never go back if the reason you left is still there. What's up, Pastor Henderson? Come on, what do y'all think? What are some of your questions? True story, right? What if the person is so parasitic that they're always trying to be in your life, even when you? Oh, I think that's a really good question. One, when people hear the parasitic analogy, I talk a little bit about that in the book too. If you haven't pre-ordered this book, I'm telling you, you should pre-order the book because I did an e-course where you get, close to 30 minutes worth of content, just 30 minutes worth of content. I did it with a small group of people answering questions. I give you a reflection guide because I know there are some people who are like, listen, I need some of this in my life right now. And so with eCourse, we kind of answer your questions. We talk about the four types of relationships and four categories of relationships, but we talk about parasitic relationships. Now, again, that's not judging a person, that's assessing a person. What's a parasite? So just basically, that's a relationship where there's inequity. There's no reciprocation, right? So in a relationship, when in when you're in a reciprocal relationship, the person you're in a relationship with is making deposits and withdrawals. When a person is parasitic, they're making withdrawals only, not deposits. And so there are times when a person has to recognize that. That's hard a lot of times for people to accept, but that relationship is a parasitic relationship. And it doesn't mean that's a tie that you sever. But if that person is a parasite, that's an assignment. That's not a friend. Friendships are reciprocal. And there's some people you're calling friends, that's an assignment. That's a mentee. uh, what's up, Terrence? If you struggle with hurting someone's feelings, how do you deal with the guilt that comes from that? Hey, listen, I think some struggle with hurting people's feelings is an indication that you living with empathy. I think that's great. You understand? I'm going to say that again. I think the fact that you're struggling a little bit with hurting people's feelings, it means that you have empathy. I think that's an indication that you're living according to the golden rule, which is the way Jesus said we should manage relationships. That's business relationships, that's personal relationships. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I think it's important to consider people's feelings, but here's a difference. There's a difference between considering people's feelings and being imprisoned by them. Two different things. Considering your feelings, watch this. Considering your feelings means that's going to change and temper the way I do what I do, the way I make the decision that I have to make that's in my best interest. Being controlled by your feelings determines if I do what's in my best interest. And I feel like a person's feelings are not your responsibility. You're responsible to be considerate. You're responsible to be loving. You're responsible to be kind and tactful. But you are not responsible for someone's feelings. Watch this, because the truth of the matter is sometimes a person's feelings is an indication of their emotional maturity. And there is no way you can say something that's going to help somebody, that's immature receive it. The only thing that helps them get better is healing. That was for you. All right. What's up? What else you got, y'all? I got about 3 more minutes here, and then I'm going to wrap up. Oh, this is a good one. How do you tell the difference between someone you date and someone that is an assignment? I want to say this. Hi, ya, ya. Hi, ya, ya. Hi, ya, ya. I feel like I want you to hear me, that on whatever level, whether it's business relationship, dating relationship, platonic relationship, on whatever level, I believe if God orchestrated the relationship, there is an aspect of the relationship that is an assignment, meaning that there is some value that that person is adding into your life. Like I feel like even people that I might do ministry with or do business with, that even though the business that we might be doing together or the ministry that we're doing together is the primary reason for the relationship, there is an aspect of the relationship that is an assignment for them and an assignment for me. So I want to qualify my comments with that hopefully if you're dating somebody, you're adding value to their life. And hopefully they're adding some value to your life. However, when a person is an assignment, it means that the primary contributions in the relationship are going in one direction. It means that you are primarily making deposits that they are primarily making withdrawals, and it probably means that they might be fine enough for you to like, but not healthy enough for you to be with. So that's a whole nother sermon or or talk or whatever. How do you pursue a godly relationship if you've never been in one? That's a great question. I want to answer it by saying this though. Just because two people in a relationship are Christian does not mean it's a Christian relationship. So I'm gonna say that one more time. Just because two people in the relationship are Christian, no cap. Just because two people in a relationship are Christian does not mean it's a Christian relationship. Um, right at all. Somebody said at all. Right. So let me tell you what I mean by that, right? It is possible for a person to identify as a Christian, but not be guided and governed by Christian values and principles. So a person can attend the same church with you and not share the same values as you. They can sit on the same row as you and listen to the same pastor as you and not share the same values as you. So I think um, that is incredibly important. So you know you're in a godly relationship when the person you're in relationship with is living by godly values. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they love God. Them loving God affects God's relationship with them and their relationship with God. It does not necessarily affect their relationship with you. Because this is what I'm telling you. There are some people who think they're pretty good at loving God, and they are not good at loving people. They don't, and the scriptures say that even their love for God is not what they think it is. And so, my point is, does that person live with godly values? And that's going to determine what your experience is like in a relationship. You know, if a person just loves God, they good for God. They can be your prayer partner. You know, if you're going to date them or marry them, they need to be good for you. We got to do more than pray together. We got to live together. We got to be together. So, and I know I'm shooting straight and speaking incredibly candid when it comes to this, but I think we need to be more candid about this because relationship management is life management. You can't get life right and get relationships wrong. All right. How do you determine that if the relationship is long distance? Man, I think character, this is going to sound really weird, but I think you don't have to have proximity to somebody to determine character. I think the greatest test of character is not proximity, it's time. And let me tell you why I say that. You got to remember, I'm a pastor, so I'm in the people business. It doesn't mean that my perspectives are always right. It does mean I have an informed perspective. Okay. So that's what I mean. So as a pastor, it doesn't mean my perspective is always right, but it means that my perspective is informed by my experience with, in my case, thousands of people. And so it is possible for someone to be living under your nose and you not know them. I want you to catch that. It is not proximity that always reveals who a person is. Sometimes it takes time, and not just time, it takes seasons. Seasons, right? Because it's not always how long you've been with someone, it's how many seasons have you been through. Because sometimes it takes certain seasons to unveil certain aspects of somebody's character. Somebody might be great until they hit a season when they're under pressure. How do they respond with that? So I don't always think I'm not saying proximity is not important, but I am telling you that it's possible to be live in the house with somebody that is they not the person somebody, my Lord. All right, I'm going to speak to this. I'm a little hesitant to speak to this on a platform like this. With our spiritual family, that's our changed churches, our people have been conditioned to hear a certain kind of candor. That's the culture of our community, of our spiritual family. It's a community of candor. So I speak very freely at our changed churches. And so I don't want to, I understand that this venue is a little bit more broad than that. But so when it comes to family stuff, this is really tough for people, but this is, Jesus asked the question. He said, "Who is my mother? Who is my father?" He said, "It's the one who does the will of God." And so this is what he says. This is in essence is what he's saying. He's not saying family isn't important. He's not saying that we should not honor family. He's not saying we shouldn't ride for family. But this is what he is saying. He's saying that he makes relationship decisions based off a person's character, not their last name. I'm going to say that one more time. He's saying he said you have to make relationship decisions based off their character, not off their last name. You sharing the last name with a person does not give you, or excuse me, give that person permission to use you as a doormat, nor is it God's expectation for you to subject yourself to something or to someone that at a point is not in the best interest of your life spiritually and emotionally. Now, that's really tough for people to hear. And that's not something you have to live by. You can choose whatever philosophy to live by you want to choose. But I'm telling you, that's what Jesus said. That's the way he managed his relationships. It was not his expectation that we subject ourselves to things that are unhealthy for us, unproductive for us, just because the person shares our last name. It's their character, not their name. Oh, a community of no capness. I like that. Capology. No capness. A community of no capness. So that's tough. Andy Stanley talks about something called the principle of the path. He says, I'm going to talk a little bit about this in my message Sunday. It is direction, not intention, that determines your destination. It's direction, not intention, that determines your destination. And that applies to relationships. If we want our relationships to end up at a healthy place, it is our direction, not intention, that determines that. And so that principle applies to whoever it is, whatever their last name is. And so I think that's something we should take into consideration. I told you 3 minutes, 10 minutes ago, but y'all got me all hype and lit. I love talking about things like this. Capology. I like that. Somebody needs a shirt that says capologist. You study capness. How do you let go of someone you aren't prepared to let go of, but you're forced to? I've got major respect for you just because you asked that question. Yes, because this is the issue sometimes when someone is just communicating principles like I'm attempting to communicate tonight, is sometimes we can underestimate how difficult implementation is. So what we're getting tonight is information, and that's key. That's a critical part of it. People perish for lack of knowledge. Listen to this. Whatever area you're ignorant in, you suffer in. Whatever area you're ignorant in, you're suffering. So this information piece is important, but the implementation piece is important also. And so this is what I've learned. In the backside of love is vulnerability. Like you can't love without being vulnerable. So sometimes it's gonna be hard. It's it's really gonna come down to this decision. It's how long do you want to hurt? It's that simple. You can't avoid pain. Love, love on the front side produces vulnerability on the backside. It doesn't mean there's always going to be pain on the backside, but it means there's going to be the potential for pain. So if you get real close to somebody, you're going to experience the joy of that. But then if that relationship has to have some distance. Then there's going to be a backside to that that makes it a little difficult. So I think it's really important to just kind of think through it that way. How long do you want to hurt? Because sometimes we know some things are over, we're just delaying the inevitable. So you can hurt for a minute and heal and move on with your life, or you can continue to go through a cycle of pain. Watch this, hoping that it gets better when the truth of the matter is it's only making you worse. How long you're going to hurt? You're delaying the inevitable. Hurt for a season and live your life, as opposed to hurting for a lifetime and missing your season. Somebody better come get me because I feel like preaching. I just stood up and let me sit back down. I said, I feel like preaching. I feel like preaching right there. Hurt for a season and move on with your life, as opposed to hurting for your life and missing your season. Y'all, it's been 30 minutes. It's been a blast. I'm telling you right now. I want you to go to DariusDanielsRQ.com, DariusDanielsRQ.com, and I want you to pre-order this book. My life's mission is to help as many people as possible change their life. Right? So I'm a pragmatist. That's my calling. How do you take the gospel and build a bridge to the different slices of people's life? That's my calling. And so I want to help as many people as possible. I believe that this book is a resource. It is a resource to do it. We want you to pre-order it. Orange juice and a hanky. When am I in Orlando again? I'm in Orlando every Saturday. It's like I meet someone every week who doesn't believe I preach live at that location. I'm there live in person every Saturday, unless I'm resting or speaking somewhere else. Every Saturday at 5:30, I'm live every Saturday there. And yeah. So anyway, the book is called Relational Intelligence. You go to DariusDanielsRQ.com, and it's a book really about putting people in their place. Not putting people in their place like I'm about to put you in your place. I'm about to put you in your place. No, but it's a book about putting people in their place in terms of properly positioning and aligning your relationships. Sometimes we're hurt, not because we got wrong people in our life. Sometimes we hurt because we got the right person just in the wrong place. And so this book is about that. It's practical. And for those that pre-order it, I'm giving you something exclusive. I'm telling you, I'm giving you an e-course. Give you an e-course. Where if DariusDaniels.com is, someone asks, how do you know where I'm preaching? DariusDaniels.com, my itinerary is on that page. How do I make it back to New Jersey on Sundays? I fly. Already pre-ordered. Thank you, Princess Black. Good. Yep. Go to DariusJames.com and we're going to send you tonight. Listen to me. Tonight. Because I'm telling you, you're going into 2020. Look at me. Look at me. You're going into 2020. Focus. Listen to me. Focused on your calling, not wondering about your company. In this season, you need people fighting with you, not fighting you. So we are about to get this area of our life right. Yeah, we're sending the e-course tonight. We're sending the e-course tonight. So we're about to get this part of our life right. Remember, this is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You got to be a good steward of your life, because your life is not your own. It's not your own. You've been called, you've been created, you've been gifted, you've been wired for your work, created and crafted for your calling, anointed for your assignment. You have too much to do and too many people waiting on the value that you possess for you to keep spending time with people who don't have eyes to see it. I got to go. People who are assigned to you have eyes to see you. Somebody give me a mic and an organ or something. I said, people who are assigned to you, who are called to you, they got eyes to see you. You don't have to prove yourself to them. They see you. So DariusDanielsRQ.com, DariusDanielsRQ.com. You can pre-order the book. I'm going to send you an e-course tonight. Man, we break stuff down in that e-course. It's going to help. You tell it, Pharaoh. It's going to help hold you over until January with this book. And yes, it'll be available audiobook also for those who want the audio version. Yeah. May God send you people who have eyes to see you, not just a heart to love you, but may he send people, raise up people, show you people in your circle who have more than a heart to love you, but eyes to see you, and who will fight with you for what God has for you. That's my prayer for you. Receive that. Receive that tonight. All right. Y'all take care. Have an incredible night.